What if our negative emotions aren't actually bad, like we've been taught, to run and avoid them? What if they're actually our intuition trying to guide us in the right direction? Hi, I'm Lisa C. I am a life coach, and I am so excited to talk about this topic because emotions are a big part of our life, right? I mean, they can consume us for days, weeks, months, and even some people years. And when we don't learn how to control those emotions or understand those emotions, they really can control us. And so I want to use this video today to give you some tips and tools on how you can actually use your negative emotions to become a whisper of what you should be doing to make changes in your life. And understanding what they actually mean can really, really help you to understand yourself better and to help you thrive and actually feel more positive emotions as an outcome, which is what we all want, right? We want to feel happiness and joy and fun and creativity and laughter. And we really want to seek up those emotions, but they're a little bit more harder to obtain. So let's get started with this training. I have put together for you a worksheet with this as well. So if you would like that, click the link below and you can download your free copy to your inbox, and you can print that out or use it online to start journaling. You can use it when you want to, you can do it every night, however you want to self-reflect. But I've always found self-reflection is a really amazing tool to help you start working through all the things that you want so you can be the person that you want to be. So, why do we need to have these negative emotions? I think it's because they really are a message trying to tell us something. However, I remember before, I would really struggle to not spiral with that emotion. So if I was angry, I would be reactive to that, and then that would cause a consequence of some kind, and then that would cause even more anger, and that would probably roll me into shame or frustration or guilt, and then so on and so forth. And it was like a snowball of emotions, right? Since learning about these emotions in a different way and looking at them in a different way, I want to give you some examples of anger and how we can actually, instead of allowing that to snowball in the negative spiral, we can actually use anger to redirect us into more positive light. So, for example, when we understand that anger actually shows up in your life because it shows you where your boundaries have been crossed or something that you feel passionate about in your life. So, it's actually a sign for you to say your boundaries have been crossed. The difference will be when you react to it, it's a lot different, and you try to control your external world or other people to stop feeling that anger or to disperse that anger. Whereas when we come internally and we look at why we're actually feeling angry, what boundaries have been crossed, we sit in that for a moment and we allow ourselves to ask the right questions. That is when we can use anger to overcome everything that we need and put in better boundaries or really chase your passion if that's what you care about as well. Another example might be anxiety. So anxiety shows you where you're stuck in the past and you are so feeling so out of control that that's going to happen again, that pain is going to happen again, that you try to control that future by thinking about every single way you can do things to control the outcome. And truth is, we don't really have all the answers in our head anyway, and we can't really control everything. So our core belief feels like, I'm not capable of overcoming this. I don't know the answers, so I must go and find one and go round and round in my head until I do, which normally we can't, because most of the time we've got to do it to make it easier for us, right? And we've just got to try it. But that's scary because it's the unknown, and our body, that's what anxiety is. It doesn't like the unknown, and it doesn't like the idea of something painful, so it tries to solve the problem. Now, what it's really trying to tell you is, if you listen hard enough, it's a reminder to say, come back to your truth, come back to who you are, come back to the present moment. And I'll give you some tools in a minute to be able to transfer that into a more positive emotion and way of thinking. Another example might be guilt. Okay, guilt shows up in our lives when we are living other people's expectations of us. So you feel guilty about saying no, right? You feel guilty about, asking for help. And you're constantly saying sorry, 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 because you feel like you haven't met that person's expectation of how you should be, which how you should be is perfect. A perfectionist, doing it all. And that's just not realistic. We can't do that. But that's somewhere in our lives, that's where we thought is important. And we feel this immense guilt. And then with that guilt, we feel shame again and stress and, unease in our own bodies. And that's not what I want for you. I want you to feel great about yourself. I want you to feel completely guilt-free when you make decisions and put boundaries in. And so those are just some of the things that can come up. And in the workbook below, you're going to have a whole list of what is deemed as negative emotions that can really cause you to spiral in your life. And in that, there is all the meanings of what they're actually trying to tell you. And you can use that now as a daily guide. Now, at the bottom of the worksheet, there is some questions for you to reflect on. So I want you to ask yourself at the end of the day, what emotions did I feel today? And why do I think they got triggered? Why did they come up for me? What in the environment caused that to happen? And then what are they trying to tell me? So then you read what one you've got, so what that message is. And then I want you to work out what you're going to do differently next time to stop that spiral and actually turn that, using that understanding of what emotion you're experiencing. How are you going to turn that into something different? Let me give you an example in my life. So sometimes I get really angry when my ex sends me something. And when those emotions come up, I feel very triggered. So in that worksheet, I'll put, I felt anger today. Why do I think this happened? I had a text from my ex that was very triggering and made me frustrated and angry. What is that really trying to tell me? I go to my worksheet and I look up what it's really trying to tell me, and I'm like, yes, that's right. My boundaries were crossed. I said no to something and he pushed back, and I said no and he pushed back, and that made me really angry. It made me feel disrespected, and it made me feel like my life was less important. So that's what actually was coming up, and it was so great to feel that, to let that out, to acknowledge that's actually how I'm feeling and see where the problem was. And so then, because I have the answer of it was a boundary, then I can actually work on doing something different next time. So instead of being reactive and messaging back straight away and getting more and more frustrated, I walk away. This is my new technique where I walk away from that text message and I might leave it for a bit of time. I normally go to a friend or go to a person of trust, or into my own space where I can think about breathing through that. And this is where I use the ABCD technique. So if you haven't seen that in my work, I'll be sure to post that another time. I find it super helpful when I'm going through triggered experiences, and it just helps to calm me, bring me back to the present, and actually focus on what's important so that I don't sabotage my own life. And my clients find this super helpful as well. We call it stopping the spiral. So then you can actually put in really great techniques that can stop you from letting anger become an argument, to become frustration, to become, even further abusive, or whatever it goes down to, guilt and shame and worry and stress and all those things. You stop it in your tracks, you're able to breathe, bring yourself back to reality, and reinforce what you're trying to reinforce with confidence. And I know that's what you want, is to be able to be confidently you and unapologetically you, and not have this guilt of having emotions. You are allowed to have emotions. You are a human being. That's our design, and we want to use them for good. And that's what I want you to be able to take away from this video. So make sure you download your free copy below, fill it in, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you have any other questions, and if you want to book in for a free call to chat with me personally, because there's things that you think you might need to work through that are a little bit deeper than what this worksheet can, or especially going through the ABCD technique, really learning to control that inner world so that you can thrive on your outer world, then just reach out via the link below. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Hope this helps.